Thank you very much. You left with a question.
Yeah.
So how can it work together? So I guess we'll see what questions there are here, but keep thinking what is your proposal about that?
Yeah.
So I open the floor for questions. Yes.
Hi, hello everyone. I have a
Can
question.
you introduce yourself, please?
Oh, my name is Lin Shini. I'm from Louisville Southeastern University in Florida. I have a question for Rabbi. I feel like it's very important that you notice that we need to manage our anger and negative emotions, because not too much people pay attention to the details and the spiritual field. My question is, why do you think it is important? What kind of impact it will cause from the negative emotions to personal or international conflict? Thanks.
You know, anger.
Thank you.
Okay. Is this working? Can you hear me? There we go. Just from my personal experience in life, and just based upon everything I've ever seen, anger is something that motivates conflict. You know, that's what gets people going. You know, that's what impels it. That's what maintains it. It's something that has to be addressed. And I saved anger for the last topic in the book, and I'll tell you, for me, that was the best chapter, because that really encompasses, that sums everything up. In dealing with anger, you have to address all the other issues. I don't know if you noticed that in my list. It basically went back and pulled out other things. It's so fundamental as far as when you deal with conflict, you have to address the issues of emotions. Does that do anything for you as far as
Maybe
answering
I'll
your question?
continue the question.
Oh,
and
please.
What is written about legitimizing anger as a human reaction,
okay,
and how to contain anger as one of prominent feelings or emotions, and to direct it into a constructive path.
Yeah, you understand. Everybody understands that anger is a normal human emotion, and from a theological perspective, if God creates anger, ultimately it has to serve a constructive purpose as well. Mm-hmm. The question is where, when, and how. Not so simple. Not a simple answer. Basically, this has been my approach in my personal life, and based upon what I've read, you have to allow your intellect guide you as far as what's proper, when, how it should be directed as far as your anger in a constructive manner. Of course, it serves important purposes, but the how is the tricky part. You know.
So it is legitimized,
of course,
right?
Of course, and there's no question
Okay.
about it. I start off, I cite a number of traditional Jewish sources that says it is a positive, you know. Maimonides, when he talks about anger, he says that you should try to go to the opposite extreme, because it's so dangerous and so destructive. But at the same time, you'll find in his works and other traditional sources, they talk about, you know, fighting evil. It will motivate you to fight and deal with evil. We understand that when we experience evil. So, of course, it's an important emotion
component. Yeah. All right. Thank you. More questions?
Yes, I do have just one quick one for Iddy. You mentioned about the challenges that were spoken about by the lady who spoke this afternoon. So unfortunately, I know you referenced that twice, but unfortunately I missed that. I didn't listen to her. But my question to you is, since something like corruption, it's usually, I look at it as a symptom of a bigger problem, an underlying cause. What would you be doing to address the underlying causes that are leading to these, you know, to corruption and other challenges that you're counting for that matter, as opposed to treating the symptoms? what would you do to address the underlying, the root causes rather?
Thank you. I think corruption is I can say a worldwide problem. It is a worldwide problem. It is hard to do with it, but there might be ways of doing with it. I have mentioned corruption, and I have traced it from historical perspective, because, for example, in 1929, the colonial government in the area where I was researching commissioned a sociologist called Hans Corey to investigate the community which I was also studying and tell them what was the problem, why things were not going on. And he came up with that idea of corruption. So corruption comes in many ways. It comes in many ways. Sometimes it is somebody's greed. It is intrinsic part of somebody because he would like to do so, whether he has sufficient something, demand, whatever, he would like to get something from somewhere. It doesn't matter whether he needs money or he has enough money, but he is having that habit, that culture. But there are those who are corrupt because they are not getting sufficient pay. And these are those who are engaging into the mediation process, especially the elders. They travel from one corner to another corner. They are not paid. They use their own money. They use their own time. But they are solving a problem which is a community problem. So when it reaches a time somebody says, please, this is what I can offer for you so that you turn up the decision, then that would be done. So I'm saying probably one solution for fighting this corruption is to ensure that there is a support, financial support for those who are involved in mediation process, in conflict resolutions and so on. On the other hand, it is a kind of awareness, telling people that this is not good, you have enough, just think of the welfare of the community than your own welfare first. I think that is what can be done. It is a problem. We have several measures being taken, but we have not yet managed. Currently in our country, the current president is doing a lot. He has charged away several people from the government post because of corruption, because of misconduct and so on, but still there are problems. So that is what I could say.
Can you, Iddy, talk a little bit about just a couple of ideas as to how to settle the traditional and more Western idea of conflict resolution? How do you intend to approach and to settle these approaches?
Yeah, this is, in the afternoon again, we had another presentation here. I think it was Madam Nankaya, I think.
Nankaya.
She gave an example of a case in Liberia where we have a case being tabled to the court. The court hears the case, made decision, but still people see that this is not, justice has not been done. They will move away from the court, go back to the traditional institutions, and when they are heard very well, justice made, then they are certified. They go that way. So there is a transition. But the problem which I've come across in my area of the study is that because these, the work which are being done by elders are not instituted by the modern laws. So once they made decision, some people see there are still avenues of going to the court, and they will sue these elders as individuals, not as an institution which has been working for this particular well-being of the site. So as a result, one elder would be sued because he made a decision on the side of the community. So I'm trying to say that probably, and this is it has been done in my country. There are 3 commissions we are commissioned to investigate how these elders can be protected by law, how their work can be recognized. And when I say so again, I will come to another presentation, which we had here. I think it is the professor from South Africa. He was saying about the Constitution. The Constitution is the mother, the everything. If something is not there, then something will not be done, because people will say it is not there. So I think if we agree that in our countries, in our areas, there should be a way that some traditions which work should be recognized. Once their decisions have been made and somebody wants to maybe appeal, there should be a way these elders have to be listened first. These people who made the decision first have to be listened first. The community should be involved even to provide witnesses of what was done before suing this individual in the court that he did, or probably he went against human rights or whatever.
Are elders trained in conflict resolution methods? Elders, are they trained?
Elders,
No, they are not.
Elders, they are not trained.
They are not trained.
They are not trained, but they are.
Is it something that you think is feasible to do?
No, these. Sorry, I should respond to this. These according to traditions and the customs, they are respected people, and in those times, these positions, especially in the area where I was studying, you couldn't be in the council unless you have inherited the position. So there is a special clan, a special family which has that caliber of doing that. But today, somebody who is called an elder, who is involved in the decision, is not of that kind. So if we go back to that traditions allowed to operate, then it can work. I don't know.
All right, thank you. Somebody else who wanted to question?
No, I think my question has already been answered.
Okay,
because
good.
You asked what I want to ask.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, well, I was just actually going to add on that these are people who are operating using their indigenous knowledge and skills. Right. So they're using what they've from knowledge, from experience and things like that. Yeah. So thinking in terms of having them to be trained, it will be another way of bringing in the Western culture, sort of interfere with their own traditional dispute resolution mechanism.
So that you assume that they will reject that.
I'm not assuming they will reject that. I'm saying that kind of it's already it's already one of the biggest challenges because of the way the legal court system, which is Western kind of system, has come in already. Yeah. It has interfered with the traditional dispute resolution mechanism. So when we start thinking of, let's train them, we are training them from what material? Where is that material coming from?
The reason I was asking about it is because in my experience, I have been training for almost a decade religious leaders in conflict resolution and mediation, and the feedback that I got was very positive, that they extended their mind and it added to their services, to how they service the community. So I was wondering if it could be also feasible in Africa. Yeah.
In addition, sometimes we say they have spiritual knowledge, but that can also be corrupted by what Dr. Bernard talked about in the morning, political bias. So how do you train a Dibia, for example? A Dibia is a native doctor, okay, who they meet for spiritual guardians. So coming to say you want to train him on modern approaches, maybe there will be kind of conflicts, yeah. I wanted to find out from Mr. Iddy specific examples in your research in the community where the traditional methods have failed and they had recourse to modern approach. Specific examples, yeah. in the community that you researched in.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you give specific examples where the modern approach of conflict management has failed and they had recourse to the modern approach?
Okay.
This will be the last question because we have to wrap it up.
Thank you.
So hold on, let Iddy answer, and then I'll give you time.
Thank you. But I would like to differ with the floor on the question I've asked about training.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm taking training in a broader way. It is not training maybe for the case of taking them to school, giving them this and this. But I think training can also take another form of awareness, creating awareness of the dynamics of the community itself. And once they get the dynamics, even they can also change the cause of administering the conflict. For example, and that will come to your point. In my area where I was researching, in 1947, a colonial district commissioner set a boundary between chiefdoms. And these chiefdoms were there around. So by that time, each clan had its own land, demarcated by rivers or mountains and so on, these physical features. So he set a chiefdom boundary on the basis of the way these members of the clan were residing on the land. That boundary existed, worked for some time throughout the 1950s. Now, as I speak to you, there have been changes because of increase of population. The government has gone further to make a new survey, village survey, setting out new boundaries, which of course interferes the colonial boundaries. But they are being done for the sake of creating administrative units. They are being done for the sake of seeing what is happening now, not what happened that time. So in so doing, conflicts have emerged. The traditional people, the people still demand a boundary which was set in 1947. But there have been changes, including landscape changes. You can no longer trace this was the river passing here. The river has already changed its course. The mountain itself, the hills have been distracted. So it is hard to trace the mark of the boundary which was set at that time. So these people now are using the modern approach with beacons, survey, use the cameras, ask the people, set these boundaries. But there are people who are not trusting this. So I'm saying if we can create kind of awareness that things have changed, we need also to change the course of administering these traditions, making resolutions on our own conflicts, then we can go using the same tradition on what you believe, what is the value of land, what the value of cattle, and so on. We can continue doing so. Thank you.
Very hopeful. Thank you for your remark. Did you want to comment? No? All right, just 1 minute. You have 1 minute to give a comment.
All right, thank you. Just to add to the issue of training, in Africa, the elders are being guided by customs and tradition in their judgments. And that custom and tradition is a kind of standard for whatever judgment they are giving. So I don't really think the elders require such training unless you're talking about how they are going to use their initiative in applying those cultures and tradition, because it's already in them and they know it, and they are custodians of such customs and tradition, which is a guiding principle for the conflict resolution all over Africa. Thank you.
So I'm glad I was provocative in my question, because as it was said in Judaism, it can guide us to a positive change. So I hope so. Maybe we can reconsider because we are all biased, you know? All right. Thank you.